Give me the badge. Give me the badge. Yeah. Easy clap. Yo, what up everyone? In this video, I'm going to show and explain to you how you can unlock the 4K damage badge in Season 8. I do one of these videos at least once a season, plus I'm working on getting this badge on all of the legends. In this video, I got it with Horizon. So obviously in Season 8, they added the damage tracker, and I get asked all the time, does this make getting a 4K easier? And the short answer is yes, a little bit, but the long answer is not really. It just kind of helps you know when you're in the situations where you're very close to a 4K, or even a 3K if that's one of your goals. If you watch till the end, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. And since Kings Canyon and Olympus are the only maps in rotation right now, I find it harder to get a 4K or a 20 bomb on these maps. It's really just a personal preference of mine, but I find that people play differently and land kind of all over the place on these maps. Whereas World's Edge, it's much more predictable for me. I know where people are going to land, I know where they're going to rotate, etc. It doesn't really matter which POI you land at on either of these maps, but your goal should be to fight basically as soon as you can. And the reason is getting a solid start to the damage is very important, even if it's just a few hundred damage. I'm not really going to be covering the 20 bomb tips because that is a different style of play, and I get like all of these badges solo. I do have a 20 bomb and 4K video from last season that I'll link in the info card if you're interested, but for this video it's more about the 4K, and this isn't one of the videos where it's like, yeah, just sit back and farm the last team or whatever. This is like, you know, we just had to keep fighting and, you know, we got the 4K. Now, as you'll see here, I have only about 1,000 damage, and there are soon to be only 5 squads left. So in my head, whenever I see numbers like that, you know, looking at the squads, looking at my damage, I'm like, okay, then the 4K is out of reach. But basically what needs to happen if you're in a spot like this is you basically need to come in contact with all of the teams that are left remaining. And that is completely out of your control most of the time. You could hop into a Trident and try to go find everybody, and they could already be fighting on the opposite side of the map. So there are definitely things that aren't in your control and things that have to go your way. But for the most part, as long as your aim is good and your IQ is high, you will be able to get this badge. It may just take you some time. And as I mentioned, if you're trying to go for like a 2.5K or a 3K or even just the 2K, you know, all of these tips apply. It's just a certain amount of measure that goes into it where, you know, the higher the damage, the more you have to do, obviously. Now, so as I said, we were able to run into all of the remaining teams, and sometimes when, you know, there's only a few squads left, your team can be put in a position where one team is going to punish you if you push the other team. And that's ultimately what ended up happening. So in that situation, that results in me putting out more damage, and it's not farming damage, it's just trying to weaken the enemy so I can eliminate them. But that's just kind of how the situation played out. Now, as I said, I get these badges solo. I solo queue pubs all the time, and so it's a gift and a curse. Sometimes your random teammates will be helpful, but more times than not, they won't be. And a lot of times they won't know what they need to do, which is sometimes just doing nothing in order to help you get these badges. I had about 9 videos, I'm not even exaggerating, where I was lined up to get the 4K pretty easily, and I tell my teammates, you know, I don't tell them right off the bat. I tell them when I'm very close, you know, in the 3,500 damage range or somewhere around that. And I mentioned to them like, hey, just let me do the work on this last team or the last couple teams, and so I can get this badge. And more times than not, they either just don't listen or whatever it may be, and they're just, yeah. So it is very frustrating at times if you're trying to get this badge for the first time or on a legend for the first time, when teammates kind of mess it up for you. But it is, as I said, a gift and a curse. There are going to be situations where, you know, you end up downing 2 enemies, and then the third one, you get him weak, but he ends up knocking you, and you need your teammate to clutch up. So having a teammate there is important, you know, because if you're close and then, you know, you get reset and you have to go to the next game because your teammate couldn't clutch, it's going to suck. And that happens from time to time as well. So once again, those things you can't control if you're playing with randoms. But if you want to squad up with a friend or two, as I said, just tell them, you know, when you're close, just have them back off. Make sure you don't die. That's basically their goal. And then make sure they don't die as well. But you really have to be sure that it's a team that you can get that certain amount of damage on them, and make sure that it's not like a really strong team that's just going to ape you, essentially. So right here, this is the example I was talking about. There's a team directly above me and then a team on him in labs. And so I'm doing damage to both, but ultimately if I make a move, I'm going to get punished by either team. So this is where I ended up doing a lot of damage to these guys. And I was very unclear, like, is it 2 full 3-man squads or what's the situation? And my teammates, you know, we ended up dying, or they ended up dying on separate areas. And so I am able to get my Octane teammates banner here. And the Bangalore was just too risky with a Caustic and a Watson sitting up there and the team on Hammond Labs. It was not the right move to try to go for that banner again. And so for anybody who's going to give me a hard time in the comments about that, like, trust me, like, it wasn't worth the risk, especially when I was just trying to get the win. And it wasn't until later on in this fight that I realized, like, okay, yeah, I'm in the 4K range, like that I could actually go for it. So I was like, all right, I'll take my shot as winning this as a duo than dying right here to both the teams shooting at me. So basically in the rest of these fights, the best case scenario happened for me. I got a ton of 1v1s, and that is the best case scenario for me, because most of the time I'll just win a 1v1, and the times where, you know, I down one but get shot by the other one for free is usually the times where I'll be losing fights. So I got a lot of isolation in some of these last fights, and that was really critical. I'm going to let the rest of the video play out here in a moment because I want you guys to see kind of how the last fight unfolded. You will hear me get very anxious at my teammate because, as I said, I had about 9 videos where I was basically burned by randoms. So it's not that I get nervous that I won't succeed. I get nervous that my random will mess it up, and you guys will see that here in the end of the video. The last thing I want to mention is if you guys aren't subscribed already, you're going to miss out on a ton of solid Apex content. So I hope you will think about subscribing. If you enjoyed the video, slap a like. The one thing I want to know in the comments is who would you like to see me get a 4K with next? All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next video. Enjoy. Let me get the last kill. I need 4K damage. Don't kill anybody, bro. Please. I got it. I got it. I got it. Thank you. That better be enough. Appreciate it, though. I've been burned by so many randoms, bro. That's why I got all yelling. Thank you. Oh, we just did it, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.